Urged to keep tabs on their children during this initiation season. Communities are still falling victim to illegal schools who lure boys to this rite of passage to manhood, leading to deaths. There have already been 4 of these reported in Mpumalanga in the last 2 weeks. To discuss this further, we are now joined by Obed Bapela. He's the Deputy Minister of Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs. Deputy Minister, thank you very much for being with us.
Good morning, Leon, and all viewers of Morning Live.
Deputy Minister, how are you clamping down on these illegal initiation schools?
Leon, we're now seeing a trend where the urban centers in South Africa are now the centers where initiation schools are taking place. It's unlike in the past where people will leave the towns to go and take their children to the rural areas. But now people have decided that we are no longer going to the rural areas. The city space is going to be our space. And it's the issue of now municipalities integrating that particular norm activity and ensuring that their space is created, allocated, so that we could then begin to know who is in that space, whether they have permits, and the municipalities must really come on board and help us in clamping down on illegal schools, but then allowing the practice to be practiced in the cities also.
Yeah. All right, let's first talk about what makes an initiation school legal. What requirements are they needed to certify it legal?
Well, currently the law is not as strong, and that is why we are going through the amendments or the creation of the new law to then indicate what is illegal. In the old law, illegal is if the permission has not been sought with the traditional leader in the rural areas. However, in the cities, there are no traditional leaders. So illegality, therefore, will only be a school that is not known by a municipality or no one has given permission to, and will regard it as illegal. But there's no law enforcing a mechanism of adherence, compliance. So that is why we're coming up with a law that says illegal will be any school that is not having any permission from the municipality, and there must be severe penalties that are going to be associated with that illegality. Currently, the police can only move in and say, we don't know anything about this school, no permission was granted. They will close the school, rescue the children and take them to any legal school, if any, or take them to the hospital or clinic, and which then violates the cultural phenomena of initiation.
Yeah. When the department launched the initiation season last year, Minister Des van Rooyen revealed that in 2015, approximately 101 initiates died, mostly from the Eastern Cape. These numbers are, they're frighteningly high, and these are just the reported cases. The number could be much higher. Surely they can't all be from illegally run schools, or can they?
Well, in the Eastern Cape is a different case. There are schools that are permitted by traditional leaders. However, there are quite a number of illegal schools, particularly in a particular area in the OR Tambo municipality. And we know what is the problem, because that culture was long abandoned 100 years ago, but now it's coming back, and then the people who are running the schools are not practitioners, they are not experienced, and then it's something that they are just bringing it back. And then we are working very hard with the traditional leaders in that area to really bring stability, knowledge, and then ensuring therefore that even the doctors who are from the schools themselves could also come in and help. And Leon, I must just also say that this season we are so fortunate, even though there are 5 deaths. You said 4 in Mpumalanga and 1 in Gauteng, but we just said at least it's not as worse as it was, particularly in Mpumalanga 4 years ago, where over 20 people were already registered as dead. But this season, the critical period is now over, and we no longer expect any challenges, and we hope therefore it remains 4 in Mpumalanga and then 1 as indicated in Gauteng. In that way we could say that the National Task Team and the teams that have been set up, the police and everybody, the doctors, the traditional leaders and the government are doing well in really combating illegality, but also ensuring that the practice is done within the most safest areas and then using the safe methods.
We we also see that, that there's been a great urging for parents to be very fully involved in all of this, because firstly to make sure and see that the initiation school is legal and to see the documentation, which is very, very important. And also they must be vigilant as to when their kids are going, when they're scheduled back, follow it intensively, because there's also talk of abductions, kidnappings that may occur during the season as well. Do you notice this common practice?
It is a common practice, and we hope therefore that our task teams will be, particularly in Gauteng, the southern part of Gauteng, in the areas of Sidibeng, in the areas of Johannesburg, in the areas of Ekurhuleni, when we go to the winter season, which is starting the end of May, middle of June, that the parents must just know whether their children are going. Yeah. They must talk to their children so that they don't get hijacked or abducted, or they don't just run away from home, because that has been the stories that we have been gathering. Okay. So we're appealing to the parents, please talk to your children now, because that is one area that is of focus. Also in the Eastern Cape, the OR Tambo region, please talk to our kids and then make sure therefore that you prepare them adequately. They go to the right schools, the right people, so that you know that who is handling your children's initiations. Absolutely. So it is going to be very important that parents really get involved. Just
two final questions, and very quickly, Deputy Minister. When we think of initiation, we automatically associate the practice with boys, but in some cultures, women also go through this passage. How prevalent is it among females today?
Well, still very prevalent in Limpopo, very prevalent in Mpumalanga, and then very prevalent in the Free State along the Basotho groups, the Qwaqwa areas and so forth. Definitely there are women, but with women, there are no deaths that have been registered, and that is why it's quiet. And but we are just observing it also to ensure, therefore, that nothing wrong goes in that particular area, so that we could then bring that stability with the boys, because currently it's the boys with the deaths that we are more worried about as a nation.
Yeah, and then just finally, and this I think is perhaps one of the reasons why we are seeing this death rate going down. In Mpumalanga, I see that they've actually started introducing doctors into these initiation schools, but one of the criteria is that they must have also gone through the passage themselves. Why is this particular criteria so important, and do you think that having doctors at these different initiation schools could be the answer to this high death rate?
Definitely it's going to be an answer, and in Limpopo it's working wonders, and Limpopo has been registering zero death tolerance. Mpumalanga, they are getting closer now to zero, because from 24 in 4 years ago to 4 only this year, that then begins to indicate that the medical doctors that are from the initiations themselves are helpful in bringing the culture of modernity, but within the cultural aspects. In the Eastern Cape, I just hope they are looking and they are watching, and they should really embrace this, because there is resistance in the Eastern Cape, particularly the OR Tambo region, so that we don't say the whole of Eastern Cape is bad, just to really say, let's bring in the doctors who are from the schools themselves, who are doctors, medical doctors from initiations, who have been initiated themselves, who knows the culture and the practice, that be allowed to come in, so that we could then preserve this old African culture, which people still love, but let's save lives and ensure that our boys goes through the passage and come back alive.
All right, we'll leave it there for this morning. Thank you so much, Deputy Minister, for talking to us about this initiation season that is upon us here in these winter schools. Obed Bapela is the Deputy Minister of Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs.